I'm Patsy from Perfectly Baked by Patsy. I'm going to share with you today my recipe for all traditional butter fudge. Now, there's no condensed milk in this recipe, it's just purely using traditional methods of mixing milk, cream, butter, sugar and a little bit of vanilla extract. So I do hope you enjoy this, and I'd love to see your versions of it if you get an opportunity to make it yourselves. So do share and let me know how you get on. So let's go over the items that you'll need. You will require a heavy base saucepan. Make sure it's deep enough because it will bubble up as you actually mix the ingredients and put them all together. You'll need some butter. Now this can be salted or unsalted. My personal preference is to use unsalted butter. You'll require light muscovado sugar, which is a dark brown. I have some greaseproof paper and I'll show you how I line my tin. You'll require a square 8 by 8 inch tin to actually put your fudge into to set. Some whole milk, 100 mils. Now this can be any brand, any make, but it must be full fat or whole milk, or what we refer to sometimes as blue top. A set of scales to weigh out all your measurements. 300 mils of cream. Now this has to be double cream. Now it can be a double cream substitute such as Elmley or Free From. It doesn't have to be fresh double cream, but I am using fresh double cream today. 300 mils or grams of caster sugar. So yes, we have 2 different sugars in this recipe, and a thermometer because you'll need this to check your temperature, and not forgetting your vanilla extract. Now I tend to use Nielsen Massey. It is a little bit more pricey than what you'd get in supermarkets, but it is important to use an extract and not a flavour. So again, you can get different brands from various supermarkets or other suppliers if that's your preference. So these are all the items that you'll need to make your fudge today. So how do you line your baking tin? So I'm using an 8 by 8 square to actually put my fudge in. And the first thing I do is I take a roll of parchment paper or greaseproof paper and make sure I take a piece which is larger than the tin that I'm covering. From there, I then fold in the sides. Make sure each side is folded in and it fits neatly into the base of the tin, and making sure you have edges that are folded in that will come up to cover the sides. Now a good tip is to cut just to the corner point of each side, as you can see here. Then when you place it into the tin, it will fold in neatly and you don't have to worry about any creases in each of the corners when you put the fudge in to set. That's how you line your tin. You don't have to worry about greasing it beforehand, just purely line it with your greaseproof or parchment paper. Right, now we're ready to start to make the fudge. So make sure you have all your ingredients ready and they're all weighed out. And you just need to add them all into your heavy base saucepan. So we have 300 grams of caster sugar, 150 grams of muscovado sugar, that's light muscovado. We have 300 mils of fresh cream, and that's double cream. ,100 grams of butter, and I'm using unsalted butter. Now I have cut these into cubes because it makes it easier when melting. And then finally we add the 100 mils of full fat milk. Now you need to switch the heat on to a very low heat to start with. So I'm putting it on number 5, and then just let that mix and melt together softly. Once it's blended and melted all together, then you can turn the heat up and continue with the cooking for your fudge. Continue to gently stir all your ingredients together as it's melting. It's important to keep stirring it so it evenly distributes and you don't get any burnt spots. So just continue to stir. It is a little labour intensive, but it's a labour of love because the finished product will be far superior than anything else you've tried before. Keep stirring. As you can see, the mixture has already gone to a nice dark brown, real rich fudgy colour, even though all the butter has yet to melt. Don't worry, that's perfectly fine. Just continue stirring gently until all the butter has melted into the mixture. You can now see that all that butter has melted beautifully into the mixture and it's light and glossy. So now you're going to be here for some time and you're going to continue stirring. Once we've turned the heat up a little bit, and we'll turn it up to 7, and you bring it up to a gentle boil. Once it starts boiling, we can then turn it down to a simmer, but you must continue to stir it, otherwise it could catch on the bottom of the pan and nobody wants burnt fudge. As you can see, it's been bubbling away for a little while now and it's simmering quite nicely and the consistency has thickened up. But we're not quite there yet, okay? You have to continue stirring. I found just doing a figure-8 motion is quite useful because it makes sure that it doesn't get stuck to the bottom and your wrist doesn't ache constantly going round and round in circles. And you actually get through the middle because going round and round in circles, the middle get missed and eventually it will stick. So it's bubbling away quite gently, just simmering away, and you just continue to stir. Every so often, with your thermometer, pop it into the mixture and watch the temperature go up. And what we're looking for is a temperature of 116 degrees centigrade or 241 degrees Fahrenheit. As you can see, it's up into the high 90s, early 100s, but we're not quite at the 116 that I'm aiming for. 105, 106, yeah, it's rising gently, but probably another 5-10 minutes and then it will be ready and we'll check it again. As you continue to stir, can you see how the consistency has changed? It's now getting much more thicker and more gloopy, and you can see that as you stir through it, it's starting to leave ribbons in the mixture, and you can see at times, depending on how quickly you stir, the bottom of the pan, and it's just bubbling away nicely. So I think we're getting very close to temperature, so let's just check it again and we'll see if we're actually nearly there. How are we doing? So just keep an eye on those temperatures. All in all, it will take about 45 minutes or even possibly to an hour until this fudge mixture is ready to turn out into the pan. So we need to get it to 116. So we're up to 110, 11, 12, to 13 and a half. Oh, so we're a couple of degrees off just yet, but as I said, we are quite close. So it won't be long now, just a couple of more minutes, and then the fudge should be ready. So let's see how we're doing with the temperature. And I think we should be there. It's much thicker now and it's coming away from the sides when I'm stirring. See, it's moving up quite nicely. 13, 14, 15, 116. Excellent. There we go. So once it's reached temperature, we can then take it off the heat. Okay, give it another quick stir, and now we need to add in the vanilla extract. So we need 1 teaspoon, that's 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So turn off the heat and add the vanilla extract and give it a good mix. Keep beating this mixture so you can see it's got a nice shine on it. Now when you add the vanilla extract, it will fizz up a little bit, but that's perfectly normal. Don't worry about it. Just continue to beat in that extract because you're adding a liquid to a hot molten sugar and cream. That's why it fizzes. But just keep giving a good beat. And can you see it's now leaving ribbons? Once you get to that stage, you can now actually pour it into your prepared tin. See, once you've poured it into the prepared tin, make sure you spread it out into each of the corners. Okay, so it's all there. And then give it a good whack. Bang it on your worktop, making sure that all the air bubbles are out of the mixture. And leave it on the side to cool. It will take a couple of hours, and then once it's all cooled down sufficiently, you can then put it in the fridge for a little while, or once it's firmed up and completely cold, you can then cut it up into bite-sized pieces and enjoy. That is your fudge, and we'll have a look at the finished piece shortly.